Welcome back to the Bootstrapper's Guide. I'm Tori Norman, and today we're going to be back in Wave Accounting talking about how to purchase fixed assets using the Receipts module. So if you're unfamiliar with the Receipts function inside of Wave Accounting, the Receipts function allows you to take a picture of a receipt with your smartphone or take an image or PDF file from your computer and upload it into Wave Accounting as a record attached to that expense. This is really useful, especially when we're dealing with the IRS and other organizations that want proof of different purchases. You can have that proof tracked right inside the accounting software and attached to the transactions themselves. However, recently in my own company, I had an issue where I wanted to purchase not an expense item, but an actual fixed assets. So something that I'm going to be keeping in the company for a long time and depreciating over several years. This means that the item was going to go on the balance sheet instead of on the profit and loss. So how does Wave Accounting handle this kind of a situation? Alright, so let's jump into Wave here, and let's say that I'm purchasing a fixed asset. So the way that Wave's designed is I can come into here to Bills and create a new bill. And you can see if I come into my expense accounts, I've got expenses, liabilities, and I've even got these asset accounts, and there's my fixed assets right there. So that's how Wave designed this to be able to create your fixed assets. So this will work really great. I can create a bill with fixed assets and we're good. But what if I want to add a receipt or attach documents proving my bill of sale? This can be really handy for understanding the value of your item for depreciation or when you sell it in the future. It's also really great for tax purposes to have the documentation to prove your purchase on your tax return. But as you can see, looking around this form, there's nothing here that would allow you to attach a document. The only place in Wave Accounting where you can attach documents right now is in the Receipts module. So let's go up here to the Receipts module and take a look. So let's go over to the Receipts area and let's upload a new receipt. Let's come down here and I'll just grab this one. Obviously this is not, it's GoDaddy. This is not going to be a fixed asset item. But just for the sake of today's presentation, let's pretend that let's imagine that this is a fixed asset receipt. So it's going to take just a second for this to process. Okay, so now Wave Accounting has finished processing my receipt, and I can come in here and we can view the details for this receipt. So I've got a copy of the image, I can put in what my merchant is, I can put in my category, but if I come in here to put my fixed assets in here, because that's what it is, right? You can see my expenses, but there are no fixed assets. So right now, the Receipts module has no functionality for the balance sheet. Anything that you want to purchase and put on the balance sheet won't work to be able to attach receipts. This is kind of a big problem. So this is my solution that I've implemented for my company, and hopefully it'll be useful for you as well. What I do is I use what's called a clearing account. What a clearing account is it's an expense account that acts kind of as a holding account, or almost like a layover, where the money is stopping there temporarily on its way to someplace else. So the whole idea is when all is said and done, at the end of each period, this clearing account should always be zero. That's why it's called a clearing account. The money just flows through there and then it's cleared back to zero. So let's set up a clearing account and I'll show you how this will work for fixed assets in Wave. Okay, so let's cancel this and come back here to our accounting. And let's create a new account for our clearing account. So it's going to be an expense account. Expense, other expenses, show more, other expenses, and clearing account. Save that. Okay, so now if I look at my expenses, I've got this clearing account. So let's jump back to our receipts. back into my receipt here. Oops, wrong button. Add in my merchant. And now I can come down and choose this clearing account. Actually got two in there. And put in, let's say it's $100. For a total of $100. And I can verify, where'd the money come from? So it came from cash. Verify that receipt. So now we've been able to successfully save our fixed assets transaction with an accompanying receipt for our future records. But it's still sitting out on the profit and loss statement. It's not on the balance sheet where it belongs. So our last step is to move that money out of the clearing account and into the fixed assets account where it needs to be. To do this, we're going to need to do a journal entry. Now, if you don't have an accounting background, journal entries can be a little scary because they deal only in debits and credits, and that can be a little confusing. But don't worry, I'll walk you through how to do a journal entry specifically for this type of transaction right now. So let's jump back in and go to the accounting section where we'll find our journal entries. And up here on the tab to Journal Transactions, and we'll create a new journal transaction. We'll say purchase of new fixed asset. And the first account we're going to want to use is our clearing account to give it a description. Now, again, you don't need to understand all of the nuts and bolts of this to make it work, but just know that expense accounts typically have a debit balance. And so in order to remove it, we're going to have to do the opposite, which is a credit balance. So we're going to do a $100 credit. Now that clears our clearing account, but we need to put it somewhere. So we're going to put it to fixed assets. Okay, so now if we have a credit with 100, we need to have a debit of 100, and that's what it's telling us right down here, so the whole thing balances. Finish with that, we hit save, and our journal entry is done. Now let's check our work. So if we come over here to our reports, so if we come to reports, we come down here to the profit and loss, also known as an income statement in Wave Accounting. And you can see that the clearing account is now 0. So all of the money has moved in and back out. And if we look at the detail, you can see that. There is the original expense, putting a debit on the account, and our journal entry, putting a credit on the account. The two net to 0. Let's go back to reports and see how we did on our balance sheet. So you can see now we have our fixed assets set at $100. So that is my solution to adding fixed assets to Wave Accounting while still using the receipt functionality so that you can get the benefit of having attached documents for your fixed assets. Now hopefully in the future Wave will catch on to this and their team will add those accounts for the balance sheet to the receipts module to make it even more robust. But for the time being, this is a solution that should work for you. Now, if you have any questions about this or any of the other functions in Wave Accounting, I'd love to hear about them via Twitter using @ACCTLab or via email ask@acctlab.com. Also, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube page using the link below to catch all of our tips and tricks on Wave and many of the other accounting software packages here on the Bootstrapper's Guide.